Alright, Mark Pugs, this video is for you. If you're not Mark Pugs, then you can either watch it to hear about hips and stuff, or you can go away. So it doesn't matter. Anyways, Pugs, we were talking about the 90-90 position as it related to the hip requirements for the L-sit. So 90-90 position, like we were talking about, 90 degrees from both legs. So straight forward, straight over, straight out, straight back, 90, 90, and so forth. So obviously you can hang out here and you can go down and you can find some corners, stretch, feel what that feels like and all that stuff. That's all well and dandy. One thing I want you to do before you do any of the other stuff I'm going to show you is just get in this position and do it on both sides and note what it feels different or the same. In particular, I want you to note, one, how hard do you have to fight to keep your torso up and down? Do you find yourself sliding over here where you have to stick your hand out for like a kickstand, or can you sit here pretty evenly? How much space, as I open up this leg, how much space is between your inside your thigh and the ground? So when you're sitting here, do you have like a really high position to get there, or is that pretty flat on the ground? And then also, most importantly, does it feel different from side to side? Does one side feel more comfortable to sit in this position while the other one makes you feel over here? Just things to note. Doesn't really matter because we're going to do the same thing anyways. So the 90-90 hip drill that I was talking about is basically we're going to go from one 90-90 position to the other without moving a whole lot of stuff. So I'll show you what that looks like and kind of talk about what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep my heels planted in place where they are. I don't want them as I move to slide out of position. If they're sliding, that's not ideal. You're not doing what you need to do. If you can't move without them sliding, then start with your feet basically further away from yourself, giving yourself more space to be able to get through the position. So heels stay where they are. I'm going to use my hands, if I scoot over here a little bit, hands as kickstands, so that I can make sure I keep a neutral torso position like we would when we're deadlifting as I'm moving my hips through here. I don't want to fold over as I'm moving through because I'm just compensating for the already tight hips. So hand as kickstands. I'm going to rotate from this 90-90 to the other 90-90 as slow as you possibly can. So I'm going to start with the back leg and I'll start opening that up. Slide here. Start opening the back leg, keeping the front leg down. Just rotating. You'll find possibly that one, it's going to be super hard, or two, you're going to get pops and cracks. As that leg opens, you're going to bring the other one with it and keep rotating. Again, making sure your heels aren't sliding on you. Rotate from one side. And then just come right back through. So open up, keeping the back leg down until it has to come up, and rotate. So that's the 90-90 hip drill that I was talking about. Do that nice and slow, however many times feels comfortable. A couple times, 2-3 times, move on to something different. After you do that, something that you can move into is what is called CARS for your hip, which is controlled articular rotation. I'm going to show you the maybe a baby version of that first, and then eventually the full, more difficult version that you'd want to work up to. So essentially all that means is we want to draw a circle with the joint that we're targeting. So in this case, the hip joint. So I'm going to try and draw a perfect, as big of a circle as I can, both directions. So we're going to be in figure four, down on all fours or whatever. And I'm going to basically draw a little circle with the hip, essentially like this. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now, while you're doing this, the only thing that should move is the hip. So not the low back, meaning I'm not gonna dump my back or round it to try to move my hip around. Just keep that neutral position the whole time you're moving it. So it'll look something like this. Up, abduction out, bringing it back around. Then when you get to the back, you rotate the foot to the sky and drive the leg in. And then you just reverse that same position. And I'll show you from the side so you can see what's happening in the back there. Now again, ideally the only thing that's moving is the hip internally and externally rotating as you're going around there. You're ideally not shifting your body or sliding or moving weird in order to achieve that motion. So to show you from the side, coming forward, open up, come back, rotate to the sky, drive in, and then just reverse it. Up, there, and through. So, first thing to do would be the 90-90 drill. Start there, see how comfortable you are with that. When you get good at that or comfortable with it, go to that version of the hip car. I started there and I think it's easy. And then you can go to the standing version, which looks something like this. Grab something to hold on to. Obviously, it's worth noting with the standing version, again, the only thing that ideally is moving is the hip. I am not as good at the standing version as I am the kneeling version, and so what happens was I'll start to compensate with my spine or my pelvis, and I start to shift my hips so I can try and find that extra range of motion. Ideally, you wouldn't do that, so fight that urge to do it. Come straight up, externally rotate, bring it around, rotate, bring it in. When you get to here, think about kicking your foot out to the side and then bring it straight back in and down. Up, kick the foot out so we're internally rotated, drive up laterally out through the hip, rotate, and bring it closed. So, obviously someone using the chair for balance, super helpful, don't break your face. Again, ideally, only the hip moves. You're gonna find compensations likely, or that you're gonna try to adjust yourself to get through it. Just do your best. If you get caught in a spot where things start to cramp, hang out there, because it means the muscle's weak. And it can't handle that position. So hold it as long as you can, and then let it go, restart from the beginning. So best of luck, pugs.